Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's session. Today, we are having the first series on the well-being for social impact. It is called Organizational Well-being, Designing Cultures of Compassion. We have two amazing speakers from Mana Wellness, Kashish and Sharanya. Kashish is a psychologist and a manager at Mana Wellness, and she has been leading the mental health support for a long time now. So she's a really professionist in her work. And she is experienced mostly in working with teenagers and adults, creating safe, empathetic spaces, and exploring emotional and relational challenges. On the other hand, Sharanya is a psychologist with more than 3 years of experience specializing in workplace mental health, corporate well-being, and employee resilience. She's committed to fostering open, supportive workplace cultures and driven by the belief that mental wealth is not optional but essential. So I'm going to pass the word to them and enjoy the session.
Thank you so much, Cindy. Hi, everyone. Good evening. Welcome to the session. I want to apologize for the background noise if at all it's heard. How is everyone doing today? Great. Hi, Kamala. Nice to see you again. How's everyone doing? Okay, great. Thank you so much for joining in today, everyone. My name is Sharanya. I'm a psychologist by profession, and I'm currently working at an organization called Mana Wellness. And I'm so happy to see so many of you joining in today to talk about something important, be a part of this session, and give your time to us and for yourself. Just give me a second while I try to share my screen. In the meantime, I would still love to hear from everybody else. It's a small crowd, so if you could switch on your cameras and interact, unmute and speak, or just let me know in the chat box, that would be great. All right. Okay. So as I was saying, yeah, I hope you all can see my screen. Yeah. All right, great. So we have gathered here today to talk about something that's very important and it's relatable, which is basically about mental well-being and our mental health, right? These are topics that we hear very often. They are spoken about, especially after the pandemic. A lot of us talk about it. In fact, a lot of us even try to incorporate this in our everyday lives, right? But being in the social impact sector, we are almost always available for others. We are ensuring how to be there for others. What can we do to create impact? How do we care and cater to others' needs? And in the midst of all of this, we more often than not tend to forget about our own selves. Okay. So in this session, which is also titled as, designing cultures of compassion, we are basically inviting you to take that pause and to explore a little deeper into your own self and also yeah, deeper into your own self by asking certain important questions such as what does well-being mean to me, and is it a destination or is it a journey that I need to walk in every day, and how can I ensure that I take care of myself and also be there for others, ensure that others feel safe, others feel heard, and they feel supported. Yeah. And in the while we also talk about this, we're also going to understand how compassion comes into the picture and what can we do to include this in our actions, in our conversations, and in our spaces to ensure that we all can thrive together. Okay. All right. So moving on to begin this journey, I would love to know a little bit about you all because I introduced myself. Cindy told all of you a little bit about me and Kashish, but I would like to know about you as well. And more specifically, we're going to do this introduction with a twist. So as you can see on the screen, there is a prompt written, right? My name is Dash and I am feeling Dash. So I want you all to take this minute to reflect and you can either tell it in the chat box or unmute and speak, whatever works for you. Just say what is your name and what are you feeling right now. There is no right or wrong answers, right? So this is just based on how you are feeling. Yeah, let's go. Okay. I can see Susan says that she's feeling peaceful. Great, that's wonderful. Oh, thanks for being honest, Cindy. So I'm hearing peaceful, I'm hearing happy and anxious, and I can see calm. Great. Feeling calm and okay, Nishant, and I'm feeling lonely. I'm so sorry to hear that. I can see some of you are saying one emotion, whereas others are like picking two emotions. And that's pretty great because we often think that we can only feel one emotion at a time, but more often than not, our emotions are almost always mixed. You know, we feel happy and excited, we feel calm and relaxed, or we can also be happy and anxious. So the combination is up to you. It's about figuring out what we are feeling, taking that minute to pause and reflect. Okay. Days I'm feeling overwhelmed, hmm burnt and burnt. How do I pronounce that? I'm feeling relaxed and I'm having lunch. I appreciate the honesty. Anxious and hurt. Okay. All right. So thank you for sharing I thank all of you for sharing what you are going through and what you are feeling honestly. All attending the same session, we all have a variety of emotions that we are facing. It's not just one, right? So it's actually a very powerful start by simply taking this time to check in with ourselves. Now we're going to take this feeling and we're going to go a little bit more deeper and use a little bit of imagination to answer this. Just like how you explained what you're feeling, I want you to imagine if you were a flower today, what would it be and why? What flower do you resonate with and why? Why do you choose that flower? I'll give you an example. If you say that you resonate with a sunflower, maybe you resonate with the sunflower because it is bright and shiny. Or maybe you could be feeling like a cactus where you're spiky and dry and rough. Or maybe you're feeling like a closed hibiscus where you're waiting for that opportunity to bloom. So I want you to reflect on that now. Thank you, Komi, for sharing that. Okay. The lotus because it's resilient and blooms despite its dirty environment. Okay. Hmm. Okay, so Prakash says that he feels like a jasmine because it's relaxing. You can choose the flowers that are not on the screen as well. Co-creative. Sunflower turning towards the warmth of the sun. That's wonderful. I actually relate with that too. Okay, can I have a few more responses, please? Bright on the outside, but the middle part has hard, dark seeds. Right, okay. Very creative. There are three of us who identify with a sunflower, but all three of us have very different interpretations of why we are a sunflower. Hmm. All right, great. So thank you again, once again, for sharing your flower metaphors, right? I love how all of you have connected with this idea. So when you shared your emotions, this activity was mainly done to take a pause and reflect on how we are feeling and what do we identify with. And by doing this activity, you all gave us and the rest of the people in the room an idea and a glimpse into how colorful and varied we all are in our own emotional journeys. isn't it? Think about it. Our feelings are more or less like the petals of a flower. They're very unique. In this particular activity itself, like I said, three people, four people chose sunflower, but all four of us have different interpretations of why we are a sunflower, right? We could be feeling the same emotion, but we could be experiencing it in different ways, right? So, well being, our mental health journey is also more or less like that. It's not that we're always going to feel great, we're always going to feel like a sunflower. There are also going to be days where we're feeling like a cactus, where we feel like, oh, I am a hibiscus, but I haven't bloomed yet, you know but it's about not just about feeling happy all the time, but also about being there for ourselves, nurturing for ourselves, and caring for ourselves even when we are not. And that is why we talk about well-being in the form of a journey. You can think of your well-being like seasons, like sometimes we feel like we are summer, we're all bright and happy, but then there are some times where we feel like our mood resonates more with that of winter, or sometimes like monsoon with little bit of thunderstorms here and there, right? So our well-being is a spectrum. It ranges between crisis to excelling. And to give you a bit more understanding of what each of these terms mean, excelling is when you're not just doing well, but excelling is not just when you're doing well and but you are exceeding expectations. You feel very energized, you feel focused, you feel fulfilled. And then comes thriving, where you're doing well overall, but life may have certain challenges here and there. But even though with those challenges, you're able to bring yourself back to the present moment, you're feeling balanced, you're feeling resilient, and you're still trying to grow and excel. And then comes surviving, where you're just getting through the day. You're not having the best of your day, best of your life, but also it's not that bad that you're not able to get up from bed. That is surviving, where you're just getting through the day. And then comes struggling, where you're having a hard time to function in one or more areas of your life. You might be thinking that, oh, things are a little heavy. You might be walking on eggshells. You don't know when you're going to snap, and you may have mood swings here and there. That is when you're struggling. And in crisis is the far end of the spectrum, where you're feeling extremely overwhelmed. You don't know how to deal with your overwhelm. You might not be able to function properly. There are areas of your life that are starting to get affected, right? And it can include intense emotional distress. And under the worst circumstances, sometimes under dire circumstances, you may even have thoughts of harming yourself. That is when you're in a crisis situation. But whatever path you are in right now, it's okay. The idea is to first identify where am I in this path right now. And then when we understand where we are, then we will know what to do, how to nurture it. So if I were to ask you, in this spectrum between excelling to crisis, where do you relate with the most? If you were to reflect on yourself, you even did this activity right now. So where in this spectrum do you feel? Okay. You can see Emily says she's thriving. Surviving. Thriving as well. Good job. Hmm. Surviving. Depending on the day of the week, I move between crisis, struggling, and surviving. That's absolutely right. That's exactly how our well-being is. It's like a season, Sometimes I don't know where you're from, Kamara, but where I'm from a place called Bangalore in India. So our climate just keeps changing sometimes very rapidly. In the morning it is sunny, in the afternoon it suddenly starts raining, and then in the evening it's all moody again. So our well-being also can shift that quickly. Okay, so I can see some of you have told that you're surviving. My best friend is from Bangalore. So you must know about it. Okay, so moved from crisis yesterday to surviving today. More power to you, Prakash. Thriving with moments of struggling, surviving. Oh, that's so sweet. Thank you, Nishant. All right. What about the rest of you? Surviving. All right. So I can see that some of you are surviving, some of you are thriving, and some of you are, switching so quickly between the stages as well. And no matter where you are in this spectrum, it's completely okay. The first step is in identifying where you are. And one more important thing is that, as you can see in this picture, it's very evident from the outside that, this person is in crisis or this person is struggling. More often than not, this kind of impact is not visible on the face, or it's not externally visible all the time. Sometimes you might be looking like you're thriving or you're excelling or you're surviving, but internally you may not be able to hold it together at all. Especially when it comes to the social impact space, we are so focused on helping others and, constantly showing up for others that our struggle is often quite silent. So taking this time to reflect on that and understanding this better is absolutely important, right? And only when it's because of this kind of situations that having conversations around our well-being and this spectrum is of utmost importance. Learning how to care for ourselves starts from this. Okay. And now it's also, now we took this time to understand and reflect on where we are in our well-being journey. It's also time to reflect on what there is in our lives and what will contribute to our well-being, right? So imagine I'm going to take this opportunity to, bring in one more metaphor. Okay. So as of now, we have thought about ourselves as a flower. And now I want you to expand a little and think of yourself as though you are a garden. Imagine your well-being is a garden. Okay. So what all are there in a garden? We have plants, we have soil, we have, branches, flowers, and then there is, but what is of utmost importance is that how fertile is our soil. Sometimes, our garden is blooming and thriving, but sometimes there is no growth at all visible. And then on some days it's completely dry. But what determines whether your plants and your flowers will grow or not is basically depending on how fertile your soil is. So if I were to ask you, how fertile is your soil currently on a scale of 1 to 10? Or 0 to 10, what would you say? Imagine your soil is the psychological safety that you feel in your environment, in your organization. If you were to rate how psychologically safe or how fertile your soil is on a scale of 0 to 10, what would you rate it as? Okay. 0 being extremely low and 10 is like 100% psychologically safe. Okay. Well, the answers are ranging between 7 to 10, but it's on the upper bracket, which is amazing. Okay, I can see 8, 5, 10. All right. Now, the next question I have for you is, what nutrients does your soil need that will help your garden thrive? So, in order to feel psychologically safe, what are some of the elements that you need? What nutrients will ensure that? Water. Okay, trust. That's amazing. Okay, support system. I love the enthusiasm. I love the energy. Everybody is so active. Please keep the answers coming. Educated community building, very important. That's a very unique take. Thank you for sharing, Nishant. Mutual understanding, right? More soil to grow. Can you please tell me that a little bit more specifically, Ricky? Sense of shared purpose, leaders who show vulnerabilities. Okay. Um, so when you look at the responses, right, initially there were a few individual responses, right? Like there was trust, and then there was rest and space. And then eventually it moved on to, more shared spaces. Like, I need a good community, open sharing and caring with the team. Leaders who are comfortable and vulnerable about their own mental health and well-being, right? Transparency, open communication. This highlights a very important thing. We often think our well being is a very individual journey, right? I should get better. I should be resilient. I should, be able to thrive in life. But a lot of that actually comes with community support, right? And our communities play a very important role in that. Our environment actually plays such a huge role in ensuring that we are psychologically safe and our well being is good. And only when all of this comes into the picture can we actually move towards the stage of thriving. Okay. So right now, just as much as just like how you all have given me great answers with respect to what kind of nutrients do you need in order to ensure you feel psychologically safe, your environment is great. We are going to look at one aspect, one important aspect of what will help our and what will help us feel psychologically safe and how can we provide that to others. And we're going to understand this through a short story, which is going to be taken forward by Kashish.
Thank you so much, Sharanya. I am absolutely in awe with the chat room energy, and it is so nice to see everybody proactively responding to the questions. I think that's one of the best parts about engaging with members of Catalyst community is that there's a proactive response, and that's why this whole bit that we prepared was keeping in mind that everybody should be able to participate. In answering. So here's a quick story, and after this, at the end of the session, also we have breakout room activity, which is very much inspired from this story. So from this bit of the session. So come, let's meet Dave. And Dave works in a community outreach team. He is kind, reliable, and always says yes. Even when he's overwhelmed lately, Dave has been feeling drained. He's missing deadlines, avoiding group chats, and smiling less in meetings. He feels guilty for struggling, scared to seem unprofessional, and unsure how to say, I am not okay. No one has noticed, or so he thinks. Chris, his colleague, had been noticing Dave for a while and is confused. Chris doesn't have the perfect words, but Chris notices that Dave hasn't been himself. For how, wait, Sharanya. How many of us can find this something relatable? They've either heard a story, they have seen somebody going through the same thing or similar things, or maybe you yourself has been through a similar point. Not same exactly, but similar, where we are not up for it, but we are also very scared to not come across like that. Going back to the mental health spectrum that Sharanya talked about, we are sort of struggling and surviving. We are in the middle of both. How many of us find this story, this narrative, relatable, or is it resonates with you? It's not a surprising element here. A yes and no would be yeah, yes. Now, before I have anything to add, what have you done in such scenarios? If you were a part of it, or one of your colleagues was a part of it, or anybody, maybe family member, if you have heard it across, what did you do? What role did you play? Intentional listening. Okay, Lauren, thank you. Talk to provide support. Okay. I have taken time to talk to the colleague and sit with them to hear their issues. Okay. So, very active listening, non judgmental listening, right? What else? Proactively had a honest and heartful conversation. Beautiful. Now, I'm going to make it a little more tough for you all, okay? I'm going to ask you to give me the sentence when first time Chris can approach Dev. What can Chris just tell Dev right now? offer support by checking in and discussing possibilities that will work to assist with the situation. Yes. So checking in, what can also help. I see some of you typing, so I'm waiting for the first idea to respond. Okay, I'm here for you. That's beautiful. That's so heartwarming. Anybody else would like to give it a shot? What could Chris tell Dave right now? How could Chris approach Dave? You need help or a listening ear, here for both. So sweet. Engage Chris and let him know that you are concerned about his well-being. Absolutely. So what are we trying to do here? With our words, with our small intention of checking in, of listening, what are we trying to do here? I guess we're trying to create that psychological safety, that garden we've been talking about, right? The soil, the water, the trust, the shared spaces, everything that we've been talking about is this psychological safety. Oh, amazing. Point out the things you've noticed and ask if there's something you want to talk about. Communicate compassionate presence. How are you doing right now? Let's grab a coffee and check in without telling him anything, not just to scare him off. So many beautiful and very, very thoughtful ways of just letting Dave know that I'm there for you. Somebody is choosing words, somebody is choosing action, somebody is just trying to make the environment so safe so that Dave can come up and just be like, okay, I'm just done. I can't take it anymore. And these are the nuances of how compassion is shown at workplaces. So, here are some responses what can be used in situations like these. I think, if not these situations, but sometimes all of us have found ourselves in this confused state of mind. I can see something, but I don't know what to do. I can see somebody is falling apart. I can see somebody is not doing well. Somebody's behavior has shifted. Something has changed in this person, and not for the good, not for the for the healthier side. And so we often find ourselves clueless about what am I supposed to do right now. And it often affects us and our well-being as well. Now, on the contrary of this story, sometimes we will also see ourselves in this, where we don't know where to go if I am going through this, if I am feeling the pressure, the burden, or if I am feeling confused or what am I doing right now, I sometimes fall short of people I can go up to. So here, I want to take a moment and ask you all to close your eyes and just think of a person that is your safe space at work today. Can be more than one, can be zero, but how many of us got somebody in the head? Somebody who is making us feel comfortable, strong, non judgmental, supported. How many of us could think of that one person? Good job. Great. Thank you for sharing, Prakash. That's absolutely all right, Emily. Have a great day. Two people. Jail could think of two people. Yeah. Cindy also says two. How about others? Ah, yeah, and I'm sorry to hear that, Sharon. Really. And that is also one of the realities, which is which is why we are talking about this topic at large, because it's especially if you're working remotely. So where I come from, we either travel for work or we are working remotely, and there's very less access to our other team members. it actually gets lonely, it gets isolated at some point. If you have not been working on a project with somebody for the longest time, it actually, you also don't feel like you're working at all sometimes. Even though you're swamped with work, you're checking sheets, you're making all the necessary deadlines, you're getting onto them, but it gets a little tough sometimes. That's beautiful, Ricky. More power to you and your organization if you have been able to maintain such a culture. So these are just few responses that will help us create it. But these also look like something which will be situation oriented. So now I want you to bring forward two small actionables that can eventually build up a scenario which is fertile, which is stable, which is also very safe. And it is like a domino effect. How many of us are able to do all these, or at least one of these? If we can practice them, we are just magnifying what we are talking about in terms of compassion. Not every day I might be able to unload your work to make you feel less pressured, or not every day, probably your boss or your colleague would be like, okay, take the day off. But how do we cultivate that where, I am feeling very, very tired, or I'm not feeling like working today, or I'm super stressed, but I can just come up to you and just say, it's really tiring today and I'm not feeling like, I wish I could just take a breather for 2 hours. If we are able to cultivate that culture, that is what safety eventually talks about. And how are we going to do that? We're going to do that with micro behaviors. Usually when we go with such difficult topics, everybody is wondering if I'm going to get something at last, some formula or something. But when I'm talking to people, I actually go back and think, what's that one thing I can do today to make it change? One of the strongest examples I can think of is today. I think it's been what, 2-3 years since post COVID, post pandemic. Everybody has understood 10K to 8K steps is good for a healthy body. We've heard it like million times. We have normalized it. We are tracking our steps, or if not, we're just very cautious of at least doing maybe 5K steps a day, if nothing else. Even though you can't work out, you can't sweat for an hour or so. But these are the small actionables we are bringing to actually change our lifestyle to something which is more healthy. And that's exactly what these micro behaviors are. These small statements of saying, I need your help, or, somebody in the chat box said, I'm here for you. Considering opinions of each other, not judging them based on one-off incidences, or even wholly based on their emotions. Acknowledging efforts, inputs, and not just results or outcomes. Normalizing the uncertainty in the work culture. So I've been associated, Manha Wellness has been associated with Catalyst for close to 2 years now. And in the last 1.5 years, we have established so many findings about understanding how difficult it is to be working in the social impact space. It is not just limited to the kind of work we are bringing forward, but internally, if there are fund issues, if there are employee work strength issues, if there are something as basic as if the targets are not measured as per the goals of the vision, the mission of the company. So there are so many layers of problems happening, and then eventually we come to the first hand respondents to trauma, to the victims of these traumatic events, people attending such conversations, people again first hand receiving such information from the communities. And so it is so difficult. We have had instances where people have come up and been like, oh, I didn't even know that I was actually struggling, or I had a crisis a month back. I didn't know it was a panic attack, right? And these are the changes which we aim to bring through the normalized conversations we're having right now. So checking in on your peers. Just like the first thought Chris had about Dave was, okay, this is very unusual about Dave. What can I do about it? And that's where you all pitched in and helped Chris have some responses, right? So taking those initiatives to considering people, checking in on them, and also understanding that vulnerability is a human trait. The more we are able to express about it to each other, the easier it gets to be around that, right? So these are some small micro shifts that we can bring in order to cultivate a space which is eventually very psychologically safe, and that shouts compassion at work, even if we can't take each other's workload away from sometime. But I think that supporting, like somebody wrote in the chat, that ear if you want to talk to, or that shoulder if you want to cry to, and that's what people are looking for, even though there's so much stigma at workplace showing your emotions. But I think all of us are humans at the end of the day, and this is not something we can hide for long. What does it do? Why is it important? Here are some pointers from different research papers. Of course, this is only to understand why is it important for us to be talking about it, cultivating such a space, because eventually it reduces burnout, it is supporting inclusivity and fairness at workplaces, it is enhancing team learning productivity. There is enough research to tell us about how business has been impacted because of employees' well-being. If the employees are satisfied, they are thriving, the business is reaching heights, and it's the opposite, it's vice versa. Lastly, improved well-being and retention. I mean, today there are so many articles on LinkedIn, when we will go or read them, or we will read research papers that are actually highlighting the important benefits, the importance of how a workplace is deciding people to stay and not their salaries anymore. A, a good hike here and there is definitely making that shift, but a small hike with no employee benefits, employee well-being benefits, that is something people are not signing up for, because we have also come in terms with that eventually it is our health that gets impacted, and we are okay to be compromising on the monetary parts of it if our health is in good shape and size. These are just some facts that need to be put across to understand why do we need a culture that is full of compassion and safety and empathy eventually, right? Great question, Sharon. How do we define well-being benefits? I think what is important for us to understand is what is helping an employee be also an employee at workplace. These are so many other benefits that each organization have. India has its own legal connotations to it, what is mandatory at an organization. We have employee assistance programs, we have medical insurances, we have so many other features that are actually helping the well-being of the employee. Recently it was just 6 to 8 months back when I was interviewing somebody from the Gen Z, if I may call it like this, a complete fresher. But the question that they had for me, or for rather for my organization, was, what do you have in for me? I will come and work for you, but what do you have in for me? How do I feel assured that your culture is not toxic? Your culture does not have a lot of red flags, and because that's what I am looking for. What benefits are you giving me as a part of my health, my well-being? So these are some examples that each organization has differently, and systematically every country has norms for it, which they are bound to follow depending on the employee strength, the area of work they are in. I hope that answers your question. So now I'm going to open this room after having so much of already existing knowledge of putting all this knowledge into action. So we are approximately 30 people. So I will request Sharanya and Cindy to help us divide in breakout rooms. Can you change the slide, Sharanya? And very simple. Oh, sorry. I'm so sorry. There was a video before that for all of you to watch. I'm sorry. So here's a short video for us to understand how things change with change in well-being, change in mental health, and I think this video fairly answers the question, is deteriorating mental health visible? Because that's the question people have. These are hidden signs and we may never come to know of it. But I think this video answers that question perfectly. So please, can we play it? Yeah.
So, how do people identify those who may need help? We asked.
She used to have to go and take rest between activities and wasn't very interested in what in cooking or taking care of her house or anything. And I remember that the whole family used to talk about how she wasn't as active as the rest of the women in the household. But much later, almost a decade later, she was diagnosed with depression. And looking back, it all seems like we all had the symptoms to see.
A time where there was a lot of professional pressure, and I wasn't eating well, I wasn't feeling relaxed at any point in time. There was always this sense of heaviness that I was feeling on my chest, and I thought about it, and I remembered that I had not felt like this since school, and particularly when there would be some one or two subjects which I did really like.
We'd keep in touch by exchanging emails and Facebook messages, and all of a sudden she just stopped responding to my emails, and I couldn't understand it then, but now I know that that was because she was going through a tough patch.
Every time there would be some distressing event, that her stomach would go for a toss, or if either me or my brother were late from coming from school or something like that, her stomach would be the first one to kind of give away.
Signs of emotional distress exist around us in quiet and often not in obvious ways, but knowing what to look for helps. Persons going through distress may have sudden and uncharacteristic emotional outbursts. They may look unusually dull for more than a few days. They may look tired and exhausted all the time. They may lose their concentration or have poor memory. They may stop enjoying activities they once used to. They may have unexplained injuries on their body. They may be absent without reason. Or they may perform badly in academics suddenly. Do these signs mean that they certainly have mental health issues? No, but they prompt you to ask the person if things are okay or if they need any support. Knowing to identify signs of emotional or mental health issues will help you help those around you. Your role is key. So, remember to look out for these simple signs and offer support.
I hope this video was received as it was created, and it is sometimes so difficult to understand. Sometimes it is so difficult to understand what's going around, right? But I think sometimes it's just the instinct that can just go up to them and be like, okay, I see some changes, and would you like to talk about it? Or something as simple as I see you, and I see you and I value you for who you are, and that's why I wanted to understand if I can do something to help you here, right? So actually, all of this is visible, but only if noticed and observed well. And once we see that deterioration, and in today's time, it's not just deterioration, it is sometimes so much of hyper functioning also. But only if we are able to observe the shift in two people, is in the same person, if there's a shift in their attitude, their perspective, and we are able to make that out, is something good enough for us to reach out to them and just check in on them. As we all have understood in the beginning of the session, definitely mental health is something that all of us have, but it's also important for us to understand that this is also where all of us can help each other. And of course, a professional comes very later in picture, but usually wherever we are, professional help is the last resort. So the first connection is something that we build, and all of us make a huge difference there. So mental health touches all of us, and very important that all of us also help with people struggling with mental health. So as this video was one of the examples of how things change, we have 3 different case scenarios, stories for you to discuss amongst each other. And like I said, we will be dividing it into 2-3 breakout rooms for 7 minutes each. Every story has couple of questions to be answered, and I would want each one of you to proactively discuss in that breakout room, and then we'll come and discuss at large as a group. So for 7 minutes we'll open the breakout room, and we will come inside the breakout room and share your story in the chat box. Yeah. Hi, Cindy. Could you please make me the host?
Yes.
Because I'll be switching rooms. Yes.
Can you now?
No, I can't. Oh, yes, I can. Thank you.
Okay. Well,
And you as well. All right, so we're all back. Okay, so would anybody like to share anything? Which situation did you go through? So we were talking about in our group, we were talking about situation one, and we were talking about what can we do in situations where we have, I mean, sorry, in this kind of situation, what can we do to ensure that people like Brand can speak up sooner?
So we are going to go group wise. Anybody from group one can help us, brush up through all the answers that your group shared. And meanwhile, Sharanya is showing the case for everybody else for reference. So can we have somebody from group one, room one, to tell us what were the insights in the room? And then we can go to room 2 and 3.
So I think in group one, Herbert was there, I was there, Eugene, you had wonderful insights. Please go ahead and share.
Okay, anyone from group one? All right, can we move to group 2, and maybe by that time group 1 can decide who's going to talk? Group 2, room 2, who's going to come ahead and let us know what was the discussion in the room like? Yes, go ahead, Nishant.
Okay, I'll just very quickly so that others can also. There was a suggestion that Lena could be going through personal problems, or she could be affected, or she was not able to adjust properly because she's recently joined. That's understandable because she's a very quiet and thoughtful person. So what could be the one of the major things which we discussed is like how to make her more comfortable and forthright and honest about her opinion, and what could be an icebreaker like having because if she's not able to, she's feeling lonely and work, that means she's not been able to adequately connect with other of her colleagues. So one could be having a casual dinner, lunch, or a coffee get together where people try to talk about themselves, they share their personal stories. So this is something
I think I can add to that and say that we could actually have a buddy system. One of us said that we could have a buddy system, and also encourage to have one-on-one sessions with her because she's very quiet. Yeah, anyone else can add.
Anybody else from group room 2 that they missed sharing and you'd like to add? All right. Can we move to the room 3? We're very close to time. Room 3, who can come forward and share? What is a supportive way to check in with her, with Tasha, without making her feel pressured or weak?
I'm sorry, we didn't receive this situation in our room.
No, I think Divya was talking about it when I was there.
Yeah. No, Kashyap. So what happened was that by the time you sent the situation, we started discussing a real situation that Prakash was facing at work.
Okay,
And so we
let's have insights about that
um,
then, if Prakash is okay sharing.
Prakash, are you okay with me sharing that? I think Prakash's question was that there are people in the organization that might not be performing on certain things that well. And so he wonders how much should we be nudging them and to what point is it okay to kind of encourage them, and at what point does it become like we are kind of forcing them to be uncomfortable with what they are feeling. So I think uh, my suggestion there was that if someone's not performing, it has a lot to do with multiple factors that are, that might not be solved through just, encouraging them to do their work better. But I think just understanding, are they even happy with the work? What part of their work is draining them? Is there something going on their personal front, which is what is in situation three as well? Like, is there something that's outside of work that's affecting what's happening in the work? So setting up that like intentional time with them to understand that would have been my suggestion. Others can add.
Right, to understand what are they struggling with. Anybody else who would like to add something to what I think Prakash has a very relevant question. And I think some of us have heard it or have struggled. In fact, I've heard it in the larger rooms when it is difficult to empathize and still get the work done with their team members. Any other suggestions by the group here? All right, I think something that also just an addition to that to understand where is the lag coming from is to also understand, like Divya said, to understand where are they coming from. Has there been something that has happened at the personal end, professional end, or is there a gradual drop in general, right? So that helps, and showing some of the vulnerability from a leader managerial point of view also helps people open up at workplaces, because it's not something which is um, very nicely seen or observed or even heard of in organizations. So when we put the foot forward to share some of our vulnerabilities with people, it's easy for them to open up and share what they are going through. So that's another thing. But as we are almost over time, so I'm going to bring you all to the closure of the session with this one fun way to end it. It's a takeaway activity. Yeah, it's a takeaway activity wherein we want you all to answer the roots, trunks, and leaves in the chat box, but not share it yet with us. So I'm gonna say, okay, let's shoot, and then we're all going to share our answers in a flood sort of manner, so we can learn from each other, but also have so many positive responses in the chat box. So I want you all to please open your chat box and answer your roots, trunks, leaves, and fruits. Roots are what helps me feel safe and steady in the group, what is something that is keeping you going. Trunk is what are these simple things that you can do every day to make others have that trust, have feel seen. And lastly, what small signs tell me that people are feeling safe and included and appreciated. Eventually, what is also observed by you that makes you reassured that these actions are making some change, making some progress. So quick thumbs up once you finish writing, and then all of us can share it in one go. Please don't share right after typing. I would want all of us to share it together. Okay, I think some of you must have written by now. So can we have the responses in the chat box? Please start sending them. Beautiful. Trust, compassion, openness, transparency. These are the roots. Sharing and engagement. Giving permission to share vulnerably. These are the branches. Okay, the trunk. Smiles, hugs, welcoming talks, responses, walking the extra mile, honesty, laughter, what makes us all feel everybody's feeling safe and contented here. Unprompted. Amazing. Those are very thoughtful responses, and thank you for sharing them with us. If you have any questions, we will be happy to answer. And with that, we come to the closure of the session. I would invite you all to please come forward, and if we can take a screenshot with all these faces. So nice. All right, on the count, anybody else switching on their cameras? Okay, meanwhile, Cindy has also released a poll for your valuable feedback, and that would mean a lot to us to improve, to do better next time. So that's okay, Lauren. Cindy, can you stop sharing so that I can take a screenshot and then we can share? Yeah, thank you so much. All right, on the count of 3, 1, 2, and 3. One more, okay? Prakash's camera was off in the last one. All right, on the count of 3, 1, 2, and 3. Oh, one more is coming up. Kami. Okay, thank you. Lovely. We have 2 more, okay? On the count of 3, for the final time. 1, 2, and 3. Thank you so much. Thank you everyone for joining in today. Please fill the feedback form. I hope you all enjoyed as much as I enjoyed your company.
Thank you so much. So just quickly before we say goodbye, I have already shared the links in the chat. Join us next week on 4 p.m. Central European Time for the next well-being sessions with another panel. If you are a Portuguese speaker, we're going to have in the end of the June and the beginning of July a masterclass in Portuguese. In case you are interested in fundraising classes, the classic ones in English with Black Fox Global, we are going to be back in September and in October for 2 last sessions for the year. In case you are interested in our Medium platform, please check out our Medium platform and connect with Mehru from our team in case you want to submit one. And this is the end of the session. Thank you so much, Kashish and Sharanya. And yes, as always, we can say goodbye in our own languages.